What's up guys, my name is Jack, you're watching JBTCG, and today I'm going to be challenging Nostalgia Nomics' proposition that all the Pokemon Center ETBs from the Scarlet and Violet era and the Pokemon Center stamped promo cards are going to have a bleak future.
And the PC ETBs and the PC ETB promos are the top thing in this hobby right now. And I believe they're all going to see a very bleak and dark future.
Now, I want to preface this video and say that I have absolutely no ill will towards Nostalgia Nomics. He's a great YouTuber, he makes great content, and he's been incredibly successful in the Pokemon investing space. I just personally disagree with his logic in a very recent video that he made. With that being said, let's get into why I disagree with him and his data. The first point I want to bring up is him equating build and battle and pre-release kits to Pokemon Center ETBs. I don't think the two of them can really be compared. At the beginning of his video, he highlights the lack of performance of these pre-release kits, showing XY evolutions and the Team Up Build and Battle kits. He even compares the Team Up Build and Battle kits to just a regular loose pack price for Team Up, and you see that Team Up loose packs are actually outperforming the Build and Battle kits. And his point here is that no one cares about the stamped promo anymore, and because of that, no one cares about the sealed product. But here's why you can't compare a build and battle kit to a Pokemon Center ETB or even a regular ETB. The sealed collectability in ETBs and Pokemon Center ETBs is much higher than it would be for a build and battle kit. You don't see anyone displaying build and battle kits on their shelves. It's not really a collector's piece. Think about what Pokemon products they have acrylic display cases for. It's mainly booster boxes and ETBs. The reason? People collect those and keep them sealed, and they like to keep them in good condition. No one has a wall of sealed build and battle kits. Now maybe someone out there does, but I guarantee there's way more people with ETB displays than build and battle displays. And to further my point, and since he said that Pokemon Center ETBs have a bleak future, let's look at some Pokemon Center ETBs that don't have a promo card. If you don't know, Sword and Shield era Pokemon Center ETBs actually did not come with a promo. Instead, the ETB came with a unique artwork, often contrasting the regular ETB. When we look at the Evolving Skies Pokemon Center ETBs, we can actually see that they outperformed the booster box this past year. And guess what? There's no promo carrying this box. Now let's look at the Silver Tempest Pokemon Center ETB. I'd say it performed pretty well over this past year. Guess what? No promos to speak of here. Now I know a counter argument to this is that they have unique artworks and there's less of them than the regular ETBs. Of course they're going to be more valued. And I agree, but that also kind of proves my point that a lot of people are buying these ETBs as sealed display pieces, and they care about how these look. Also, as a side note, when we look at the Silver Tempest Pokemon Center ETB, it is kind of reminiscent of the early Scarlet and Violet ones and Journey Together as well, where you see just kind of a gradient on the front instead of a complete shift in the artwork like Evolving Skies or something like Fusion Strike. So the actual change in the artwork doesn't have to be crazy for there to be a big premium on them. As my final point about the sealed Pokemon Center ETBs and how I disagree with his point, let's look at Unified Minds and Team Up's ETBs respectively. Right now, a Unified Minds ETB is right around $500 and a Team Up ETB is around $1,400. Obviously, with both of these ETBs, they come from great sets and they have really beloved Pokemon on the front with Zekrom and Pikachu and Mewtwo and Mew. People are still buying these and they're going up in value. Now, when we transfer over to something like a 151 ETB, or Prismatic Evolutions ETB, why would we think that the future for collectability and value in these would be bleak? They have beloved Pokemon on the front, the sets are both highly sought after, with 151 being the ultimate nostalgia set, and Prismatic Evolutions having the ultimate chase card in an Umbreon card. They also come with packs and sleeves inside, just like a Team Up or Unified Minds ETB, but then they also have the addition of a promo card, and if it's a Pokemon Center ETB, the more limited stamped promo card. So they have everything going for them that a Team Up or a Unified Minds ETB would have, but they have the addition of a promo card. In what world does that make this product a bad investment or something that has a bleak future that might pull back a ton in price? I think equating a Pokemon Center ETB to a pre-release kit makes absolutely no sense, and I think there's still a ton of room for these Pokemon Center ETBs to grow, even though they're already extremely expensive. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to grow another 100% in the next year, but I think 5 years down the line, they're gonna grow. Now onto what he spent the larger part of his video on, the promo cards themselves. I want to preface this part by saying I don't heavily invest into single cards. I also don't think Nostalgia Nomics really heavily invests into single cards. Both of us stay in sealed because, well, it's more stable and usually it's less volatile through the ups and downs of the Pokemon market. Also, I want to say that I agree with a lot of his sentiment saying that you should get your profits now. For some of these cards, it is worth it to just grade it, get a good grade, sell it off. Put that money into something else. He says that the pricing of the Fluttermane is insane, and to be honest, I agree. That card is like $1,500 in a PSA 10 right now, and there's no reason that it should be that much, other than it's scarce. In my previous video, I talked about how there's a potential to make money in this card, but I don't think investing in this long term is a great way to make money. I think buying it as like a near mint copy, trying to get a good grade, getting lucky, getting a PSA 10, and flipping it, that is where I think the money is in this card. I don't think this should be a $1,000 plus card at all. And you may be saying, oh, Jack and Alex agree on this. Why do you even make this video? Well, I'll get to it. Now, I like that he's using Charizard in his stamped promo card examples. I think that's a smart move. Charizard is extremely desirable. So we'll look at what he had to say. One of the cards he brought up was a Charizard pre-release from Team Up. He mentions the highs of this being almost $1,000 in a PSA 10 at one point, and that it's fallen to $300 nowadays. And I agree, that's something to take note of. That is a huge price difference in just a span of a couple years. So let's hear him out. Let's move on to the XY Evolutions pre-release and the pre-release staff promo cards that he brings up. Wow, looking at this graph, you see a huge spike in 2020, and then it fell back to earth over the next years, and it hasn't recovered. I mean, he's got a point. No one seems to want this promo card anymore. Oh wait, I forgot. That isn't the stamped promo version. That's just the regular one from XY Evolutions. Let me change that. There we go. Much better now. Huh, that's interesting. Both of these cards exploded at the exact same time, and then over the next 2 years, they kind of fell off. Now let's look at the stamped and staff promo card. Huh, pretty much the same deal. Wait, but I thought the stamp fell out of favor. Why is the regular XY Evolutions Charizard also cheaper? Shouldn't it just be the stamped versions that fall in price? Let me think. Oh, the COVID bubble. The COVID bubble absolutely exploded the value of vintage Pokemon and a lot of other Pokemon products. Even Sun and Moon era cards and Sword and Shield cards. You remember Amazing Rares? Does anybody care about those anymore? Anyways, as COVID ended and people got to go back outside and interact with other humans in a normal way, they stopped needing to just reap nostalgia from when they were a kid. The thing is, stamp or no stamp, a lot of Pokemon cards fell in value from 2022 to 2024 because a lot of people left the Pokemon hobby. See, I don't even fully disagree with Nostalgia Nomics' point that people are going to get burned on some of these PSA 10 promo cards. The Fluttermane, again, I think is a terrible investment because there's so much downside risk buying that card at like $1,500, $2,000 in a 10. Will demand for that hold long term? I doubt it. But I think the data he showed and the way he made his points is just unfair. You can't just ignore COVID and its after effects. Now, if you wanted to make the point that today's market is also a bubble and that we'll also see a fall in card prices over the next 2 to 3 years, I think he would have a valid argument there. But saying that we only need to focus on the stamp promo cards and that the stamp promo cards are going to fall and the Pokemon Center ETBs are going to fall just because they have stamp promo cards in them doesn't make any sense, especially when the data shows that a lot more cards other than stamp promo cards fell in price through this time. Want to look at another Charizard card? Arguably the most famous Pokemon card of all time, base set Charizard? Wow, the graph looks kind of similar to these stamp promo cards. It spiked up in 2020 through 2021 and just kind of fell off through the next 2 years. It wasn't just the stamp market that fell off, it was the whole market that fell off. The other point I want to make is that the artwork on our Pokemon Center ETB promos is so much better than the stamped pre-release promos. You get a half art Charizard versus a full art Charmander, and it tells a story in the card. If this tells us anything, it's that regardless of a stamp or not, artwork is king in the Pokemon hobby. So, closing statements here, I think Nostalgia Nomics is wrong in saying that Pokemon Center ETBs have a bleak future. I just simply disagree. And I also completely disagree with his method of evaluating them by comparing them to Build and Battle and pre-release kits. But I think Nostalgia Nomics is right that there will be some pullback on some of these Pokemon Center stamp promos that are overvalued. Things like the Fluttermane, cards that just don't have a desirable Pokemon or the artwork is just mediocre. However, cards like the Charmander, the Snorlax, and the Eevee promo I think will continue to perform really well, but I don't think they'll outperform anything that is sealed. I don't think they'll beat out a sealed Pokemon Center ETB. I don't think they'll beat out a sealed booster box. But I also don't think that they're going to crash and burn. Now, would I personally invest in these PSA 10 copies of these Pokemon Center stamps? No, it's simply way too much risk. That's why I stay in sealed. Now, if some people watched that Nostalgia Nomics video and panicked and they're thinking about dumping all their Pokemon Center ETBs on eBay or Facebook Marketplace, I'll happily pick them up for a bargain. I am not going to complain. If they want to offload them, I will take them. Anyways, let me know down in the comments whether you agree or disagree with my logic, or if you think there's some factors that I just didn't account for and that I should have accounted for in my video. I love to have a conversation down in the comments. But that's all I got for today, so as always, thank you guys so much for watching and stay safe out there.